Well, here we are once again, ladies and gentlemen, with another story similar to one I covered a couple days ago, all to do with really women standing up and saying enough is enough. They're finding their voices with this situation and they're refusing to compete against men, so they're dropping out of competitions. We've seen jiu-jitsu, women's pool, and now boxing, a sport especially where if you come up against a male, obviously it's going to be very dangerous, just like a load of other sports. This one is coming out of Canada, where a female boxer drops out of the competition, and she wasn't even told, by the way, that she was going to be competing against a male. She only found out because of her coach 1 hour before she was set to step into the ring. Let's get into this one. Redux go on to report. Female boxer withdraws from competition after being matched against male fighter. A female boxer withdrew from a provincial championship in Quebec after learning that her opponent was biologically male, leading him to winning the competition by default. Dr. Katia Bissonnette of Saguenay says she was matched up against transgender fighter Mya Walmsley with no notice. The 2023 Provincial Gold Glove Championship took place on October 27th and 29th in Victoriaville, Quebec, hosted by the Quebec Boxing Federation in collaboration with the KO96 Boxing Club. But the tournament, which intended to give novices the opportunity to qualify for the Canadian Championship in December, attracted controversy after Bissonnette announced her withdrawal. Speaking to Redux, Bissonnette, who works as a psychologist in John QR, my French isn't the best, I do apologize, explains that she learned Walmsley was male 1 hour before she was set to step into the ring. I came down from my hotel room to head towards the room where all the boxers were warming up. My coach suddenly took me aside and told me he received information by text message, which he then validated, that my opponent was not a woman by birth. We did not have any other additional information. However, she says, you know, it is one thing to allow men to compete against women in sports. That shouldn't be happening in any way, shape or form, but it's another thing when you don't even inform the women who are competing, hey look, you're going to be coming against a man who identifies as a woman. They're not even telling them, you know, for whatever reason, either to not cause a scene, all about the normalization of it all, and you want to be highly inclusive. We saw this with jiu-jitsu, where the women weren't even being told until they stepped onto the mat. They started grappling and realized, wait, hold on, this isn't a woman. And with their policies, which have now obviously changed, they're only allowed to compete against women, but in their policies, they're supposed to be told, and also they're supposed to be given the option to opt out. But both those things, in some cases, according to these women, wasn't even happening. This is all completely backwards. These organizations are putting people's feelings, they're reaffirming people's feelings, the individual truth, ahead of women's safety. You know, just imagine, right? Just imagine if we actually found common sense. How different would the world look? Boy, what a time, eh? While information on Walmsley is limited, Bissonnette says he has absolutely no history fighting against women in Canadian tournaments, suggesting his identification into women's sport was recent. Walmsley is originally from Australia, but moved to Canada around 2 years ago to attend Concordia University. Walmsley would have boxed as a man in Australia, Bissonnette says. In Quebec, on his file, it is mentioned that he had 0 fights as a woman. Since moving to Canada, Walmsley has been involved in political activism at the university level as a master's student and teaching assistant in the philosophy department. Recent interviews with Walmsley show he has an overtly masculine appearance. So he has 0 matches against women, thankfully, but has now decided, wait, you know, let's cross over into the female category of boxing and see how I do. That's how easy it is, apparently, just to waltz in like that. Insane. Now, he has been interviewed on this whole situation, and he's not too happy that this woman has outed him publicly, and future situations like this could be dangerous, harmful, because of rumors based on hearsay. Right. Anyway, take a watch.
My opponent made the decision to withdraw from the tournament based solely on a text message received from another coach. And rather than asking me or my coach or even Boxing Quebec for any further information, she went directly to the media and outed me publicly. Speculating about the gender of athletes and spreading accusations will do nothing but produce a sporting culture of suspicion and surveillance that will ultimately harm all women who play sport. I started taking it seriously, and you know, you go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, you get better, and I'm kind of at the stage now where I want to learn and improve. The best way to ensure fair competition is not going to be to tighten regulation or require arbitrary and invasive testing, but to trust coaches and athletes to select the most gender appropriate category for their gender. Actions like these put athletes of all kinds of risk of exclusion and personal attack based on hearsay. And this weaponizes accusations of being transgender as a means to delegitimize athletes in the female category who may be perceived as being too strong or gender non-conforming in some way. I don't want to comment further on anything else. Thanks.
I mean, what would you have done anyway if she walked up to you, maybe screamed a few buzzwords in her face, told her, wait, no, you're wrong for thinking this way, and tried to convince her that you are, in fact, a woman, so you might have lied to her face? I mean, this situation, again, shouldn't be happening because this male shouldn't be allowed to compete in this competition. But as you may have noticed as well, it's not about how the other woman feels, it's about me and my feelings. This hurt my feelings, and that's all anybody should care about. I feel deeply troubled by this. How about the woman who dropped out of this competition who shouldn't be dropping out of the competition? How about how she feels? Crazy. But Bissonnette rejects Walmsley's apparent call for handshake-based policies, noting that even under established guidelines, it was unclear how he had been allowed to enter the match. The rule issued from Boxing Canada to the Quebec Boxing Federation was not to reveal that the opponent was trans so that the latter would not be discriminated against. However, after confirmation, this policy only applies when a sex change has taken place before puberty, she explains, noting that because Walmsley is a foreign national, his transition history is entirely unclear. Following Bissonnette's withdrawal, the competition was unable to find another woman in the super welterweight category, 165 pounds, to match against Walmsley, and he won by default. I mean, I can't imagine personally why no woman would want to step into the ring, right? It seems very strange. The Quebec Boxing Federation was reportedly aware of Walmsley's biological sex, but justified the fight by stating they had chosen an appropriate referee for the match. Ultimately, Bissonnette says her decision to withdraw came down to safety, but apparently, having an appropriate referee gets rid of that safety issue. According to a study, a male blow has 163% more impact than a woman's, even adjusted for weight, she says, referring to a 2020 study on strength published by researchers at the University of Utah. In the group study, the weakest man remains physically superior to the strongest woman. Bissonnette goes on to note that women's participation in combat sports is relatively recent, but may not last much longer if females are continuously paired up to fight males. It's like none of us could see this one coming. Right? Women should not have to bear the physical and psychological risk brought by a man's decision regarding his personal life and identity, she continues. There should be two categories, biological male and female. Bissonnette's decision to refuse to fight Walmsley comes on the heels of several instances of similar protests by women across the sporting world. I mean, some facts presented there as well, right? Which, of course, liberals and all of these people hate. It's kind of like when a vampire sees a cross, they just start crying and they want to run away. No, we can't believe it's there. Yeah, they just want to look in the opposite direction. But we have another brave woman standing up for herself and the sport, raising awareness around it, wants fairness, and wants to say, hey, look, there should only be two categories, male versus male, obviously, and female versus female categories, male, female. That shouldn't be too much to ask for, should it? Obviously, we do live in 2023, and normality, simple solutions to these problems are hard to find, like common sense. I don't know if she's going to face any consequences for doing so because this is Canada, and if you think about the April Hutchinson situation, which is also based in Canada, where she's calling out all of these issues, she now faces a 2-year ban. It certainly seems like Canada is very strict on what you can and cannot say, and these women taking actions into their own hands. But as we always say, this is what women need to do. It raises awareness on this whole thing, and as we've seen for like jiu-jitsu, you can make change. Again, it is Canada, so who knows? I don't know how many more situations we really have to have. Do women have to get seriously injured before something happens? Before these people look in the mirror and think, yeah, you know what, let's stop doing this? I mean, what if this woman went ahead and fought against this male and she got injured? Would they have cared? It's crazy. Yet we're the ones that sit here and say this all the time. You guys as well. And they can't see it, they can't see it. They think we're talking craziness. They think this is all nonsense. Oh, how dare they? This is bigotry. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. But leave your thoughts down below on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as we've said, we've got another woman deciding to say enough is enough and not compete against men. I'd like to know your thoughts. If you have enjoyed today, then also please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating, as it really helps out the video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.